All right, Kat, now is the time of the show where I want to jump to Fronk 5. If you're tuning in for the first time, Fronk 5 is a segment where I ask the guests to come and educate us about a topic of their choosing. It could be a niche interest, a passion project. Literally, I leave it wide open for their interpretation to teach us 5 things. So, Catherine,
Catherine,
what would you like to share with us today?
I have to talk about music, right? I feel like it's like an obvious.
Lay it on us, sister.
So I start and end every single day with a record. Every single day. I wake up every
Beautiful.
single morning and I put a record on. It's how I start my day. And every single night, as I'm, winding down for the night, I have a record on. So I have a huge collection at home. And I think that there's records that I couldn't live without, that I, honest to God, think are like some of the best records ever made.
Let's hear
So
it.
I think
so
we
excited.
should do 5 records
Yes,
that I couldn't live without, right? I feel like that's fun.
I'm dying to know your 5
and I'm
records of
realizing
choice.
now as I'm saying it,
You're panicking.
that I'm thinking about my choices. There's a couple I know for sure.
Start strong.
Jeff Buckley's Grace
Mm.
is potentially my favorite record of all time.
Wow.
I think that man's voice is outrageous, and I think that I am so sad that he died when he did.
Yeah.
But I think that's an incredibly crucial record for what was happening at the time in music, and just so much soul and beauty in his music. I am a lifelong diehard Radiohead fan. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say OK Computer.
Great.
I think that they were such a part of like the formative experimental era that the 90s were going through in the late 90s into the early 2000s. And they're weird and brilliant, and I love them. This is where my English will really come out. The Stone Roses.
Okay.
Yeah, self-titled. And they are huge. Manchester United, who's like my Premier League team, they go hand in hand together. So I've loved the Stone Roses my whole life, really. They only put out 2 records. One that was really huge in 1989, and it was... I think it's a perfect. I think that actually might be my favorite record of all time, if I had to guess.
Okay.
I have to throw Oasis in there. What's the Story, Morning Glory?
Do you plan to go see them?
I am seeing them in Scotland.
Okay.
And so Richard Ashcraft from The Verve is actually opening for Oasis, so I will get to see 2 of my absolute all-time favorite 90s. I'm a big 90s Brit Pop gal. I love Blur. I love all that stuff, So that is going to be huge. I mean, something I never thought I'd see in my life.
What's it like to be God's favorite?
I know, right? I know. I'm like, I did something right. And then I would put Carole King's Tapestry up there as far as female. I think she's one of the most fascinating women in music. I think that she has written so many songs that people don't even know. She did so much for the Shirelles, for Smokey Robinson, so many wonderful people over time. Crucial in the world of songwriting. So yeah. Those are probably some of my tops.
That's an all-star cast.
There's so many more. And like, they could go down like a John Prine route if we're talking about songwriting. I mean, there's so much great jazz, you know. But those, if I honest to God, it was like, I would say those are my tip top.
I think that's a solid list. Yeah.
Desert Island, if you will, if I had nothing to listen to other than that.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I was a little disappointed to not hear Melodrama by Lorde on there, but that's okay.
Like, I'm a little confused. I do. Man, I love Lorde. She's definitely about to put out a record. I can feel it in my bones. She's been teasing, and I'm like, I know something's coming out.
Melodrama is probably my favorite
and Pure
pop
Heroin
album
too.
ever. No,
I thought that was
all
a great record.
But like Melodrama changed my brain chemistry.
That is a great pop record.
This is like nothing I've ever heard, and I love every single song so much on this album. This sad but reflective, yet haunting, yet introspective writing about herself.
Yeah.
That like I feel like a lot of meaning goes over people's heads, but it's just so good.
I actually think she's one of the best pop artists of our time.
Too.
And I feel like she gets overlooked a lot.
No,
and I think it's good that she's not doing anything right now because it's such a huge time for girl pop, and it probably would get a little swept under. But I'm hoping in the next year she comes out with something. I know that she's out there doing some shit because she was with Charlie XCX and all that. So I'm like, she's up to something.
No,
just gotta wait and see.
She is. Like, if she can just wrangle sometime with Jack Antonoff, her guy, like,
also,
it'll be fine.
The guy.
Kat, I really need to know what you think of Jack Antonoff.
I mean, I think he's like one of the most brilliant creatives and producers of our time. I think it's like an undeniable fact that he's a great pop producer. Do I think he's necessarily great outside of that? I don't really know. But I think as far as pop music, it's like an insane...
History books will be... talent. Mentioning him if there are history books left. Thanks, Trump.
Shut up.
No. The way he has built our current day pop.
Yes, and not just Taylor, Sabrina, and I mean, so he's very involved in the massive world of pop that's happening. He is really to
Carly
thank
Rae
for
Jepsen.
a huge amount of it.
I mean, he's worked with everyone.
Yeah.
No, I love that man.
But also Bleachers is great. Like his own stuff's great too.
I love Bleachers.
Yes, me too. Me
and
too.
I loved Fun.
Me too.
Fun was
That's
great.
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then before Fun,
No.
it was the format. Do you remember the format?
I'd never gotten
So this
to
was
the
like
format.
before. This was, but he's who really made it.
Okay.
Fun.
I'm gonna go back and do some because anything he's ever touched,
He's great.
I like.
Yeah, he's great.
A lot. I think he's
Fun had such a big moment. That was like 2012. That was like a huge moment.
2012,
Yes.
and then dispersed.
Yes.
I can't think because they hated working with each other.
It was like them and like
something.
Arcade Fire. There was like a big moment for Arcade Fire on the Vampire Weekend.
Fire.
That was definitely when hipster was like guys in fedoras era. That was like definitely that time, like 2012. Girls were wearing a lot of scarves for like no reason and owl necklaces. That was a thing.
I had 2 or 3.
Yeah,
at least.
And like the
Thin
berets that would be like
so
that.
disgusting.
Yes. It'd be the middle of summer and I'd be wearing a scarf.